Hey fellas, Brad Ween here, and these are my predictions for UFC 137. It all goes down October 29th at the Mandalay Bay Event Center in Las Vegas, Nevada. First on the marker, we got George St-Pierre versus Carlos Condit for the UFC Welterweight Championship. For the co-main event, we have BJ Penn against Nick Diaz. We also have Hatsu Hioki versus George Roop. We have Cro Cop versus Roy Nelson, and we had Cheick Kongo versus Matt Mitrione. I'm going to give you my predictions about the main card, so let's get right down to it. First up, Cheick Kongo against the meathead, Matt Mitrione. These two guys are like my favorite guys to watch in the heavyweight division. They're both scary, mean, stand-up dudes. Cheick Kongo is a big French gorilla, and Matt Mitrione is just an oncoming, like, meathead machine of death. Like, Matt Mitrione's been working his way up with some awesome fights, hands, to him. And Cheick Kongo, if you guys watch Congo versus Barry, oh my god, that was like the greatest comeback knockout win I've seen all year long. It looked like Congo was out on his feet, but it showed how resilient he is, and he came back and just crushed fucking Barry. Oh my god. With that saying, this is going to be a stand-up war. You're probably not going to see these guys go down much. They're going to be trading shots. I think Congo is a little faster, but I think if Matt gets all his weight behind his punches, he can devastate anybody. But I got to give it to Congo. He's got the speed. If he plays it smart, he is smart. He's a smart fighter. He'll work his kickboxing, and I think he'll either counter knock Matt out, or he'll leg kick him. If I was him, I'd leg kick him. Just chop that meathead down. So I give it second round TKO to Cheick Kongo. Next up, Cro Cop versus Roy Big Country Nelson. I'm always excited to see Cro Cop fight, and I always give him the benefit of the doubt that he's going to win. And he always lets me down when he loses. I feel so bad because I was like, Cro Cop's so good, guys. You got to watch Cro Cop fight. He's so good, and then he always loses. And it's like that with me and Wanderlei Silva. I always tell people to watch Wanderlei Silva. He's deadly scary, and he always ends up losing. But he's going against Roy Nelson, and Roy Nelson is a tough competitor. He's got great ground game. He had a couple of tough losses against Frank Mir and Junior Dos Santos. But all in all, if Cro Cop plays it smart, you hear me say that, playing it smart. He'll work his leg kicks to chop down Roy Nelson, like again with Cheick Kongo. Kicks to the body, kick to that big belly, kick to that big head. I would love to see Cro Cop go out with a win because I think this is going to be his last fight ever. But who knows? He always seems to come back for one more fight. Roy Nelson's in kind of a slump, so I think he's on a need. He needs to win because they're going to keep Cro Cop no matter what, right? He's a legend. Where Roy Nelson's expendable. I think if Roy Nelson loses, they'll drop him down to Strikeforce. Before that folds, I don't know what Showtime's going on with Strikeforce. So I got to give it to Cro Cop. I think we're going to see one last highlight reel knockout at the end to go off with his career. I give it to Cro Cop. First round knockout, head kick. Next up, Hatsu Hioki versus George Roop. Now, I don't know if you guys know who Hatsu Hioki is, but I was so excited when the UFC signed him. I was like, finally, about time. This guy, if he stays in his weight division, the 145, I think he'll give Jose Aldo a good run for his belt. Like, huge. I think Hatsu Hioki might take it. I honestly think this fight's just a tune-up fight, for Hatsu Hioki. If you guys don't know who Hatsu Hioki is, he's big. He's big in Shuto and Sugenko. He also fought in Pride. But those two, he's on a complete tear, He kind of reminds me of Genki Sudo, but not as flamboyant. Honestly, this fight is just a tune-up for Hatsu Hioki. I think if he wins, he's going to fight Jose Aldo. If he stays in that weight division. I don't know what they're doing. But I give it to Hatsu Hioki. First round submission. I think he's going to be all over George Roop. So, I know you guys are probably like, well, what are you? So, just look him up. Hatsu Hioki, highlight reel. Just watch some of his fights. He's great. So, the first round, Hatsu Hioki submission, any way he wants to do it. Now, for the co-main event, we got BJ Penn against Nick Diaz. Now, if you guys have been living under a rock, it's kind of like George St-Pierre and BJ Penn switched opponents. We all know what happened to Nick Diaz, how he just didn't want to do anything. Maybe he has people problems, I don't know. But I think that this would, BJ Penn against Nick Diaz would be a much better fight. Same with George St-Pierre and Carlos Condit would be a much better fight than what, really going to be. BJ Penn came off 2 great fights. He had a tough draw against John Fitch, and he had a 21-second knockout against Matt Hughes back in November of last year. I personally think Nick Diaz and his brother Nate Diaz are the biggest pieces of shit in all of MMA. They're just punks. They're street punks. Look at that brawl when Mayhem came out and was like, I want, my rematch. I think they're pieces of shit. So, not to say that, Nick Diaz isn't a good fighter. He just hasn't fought this kind of talent, in a while. I think BJ Penn's going to be too much. I personally think BJ Penn's got better stand-up, better ground game, and he's got, better chin than Nick Diaz. Paul Daly had Nick Diaz fucking dancing like a marionette, and I'm surprised they didn't call that fight against Paul Daly, but I guess they were just in his favors, I guess. But I think BJ Penn's going to win a second-round submission where Nick could choke. He's going to do what, BJ Penn's going to do what he did to Jens Pulver when he traps his arm with his leg, but we'll see. But BJ Penn, second round submission. Now, main event. Here we go. UFC Welterweight Championship. George St-Pierre against Carlos Condit. This is going to be a great fight. Both guys come out of Greg Jackson's camp. George is one of the smartest fighters to ever grace MMA, period. Carlos Condit is a scary dude, man. He's got devastating striking. He's got devastating everything. This guy is the real deal. This guy's a total package. When he had his fight with Rory McDonald, those two was like fight of the night honors. Holy shit, these guys were just rocking each other. When they both did those 2 front kicks and Rory kicked him right in the face and Condit just dropped, I thought the fight was going to be called, but Condit rose the occasion, came back, and ended up TKOing Rory McDonald. He beat Jake Ellenberger, and then he had great knockouts against Young Kim with that sweet flying knee and Dan Hardy. So I think, he has a chance, but I think George St-Pierre is just too smart. He's just too he's more athletic, he's more faster, I think he's more stronger than Carlos Condit. Condit does have good jits, so George is going to, he's either going to try standing up for a while, which he usually does. If he works that jab, he'll be picking apart Condit all night. With George getting up there and these dominating wins, it's almost like this Anderson Silva effect where they're almost scared to fight. But who knows, Condit may pull something out of his hat and just end up rocking the shit out of George St-Pierre. It happens. We saw Matt Serra do it. So George St-Pierre can be knocked out. But, he's learned from his mistakes. And I think George is going to be safe. And I think he's just going to ground and pound his ass all night long. I'm going to have to say George St-Pierre will retain his title yet again. And he'll probably face the winner between BJ Penn and Nick Diaz. And, everybody would like to see him against BJ Penn again. And everybody wants to see him fight Nick Diaz. So I say 4th round, George St-Pierre, ground and pound. Well, fellas, that's my predictions for UFC 137, St-Pierre versus Condit. Be sure to check it out October 29th on pay-per-view or wherever you get it from. But enjoy the fight, guys.